Generative AI cannot produce new knowledge for us, and it cannot create wisdom. And in this video, you're going to find out why that is. So beyond the world of all our human thoughts and ideas and concepts and knowledge lies objective reality, which could also be called ultimate reality. And it is vast, infinite, it's absolutely everything. The way we're going to depict it is as a circle. An infinite circle. Our knowledge does not come directly from ultimate reality. AIs are not trained on ultimate reality. There are lots of stages, lots of filters in between ultimate reality and the output of a large language model. The first filter is our direct experience of ultimate reality. The sum total of all human experience through our senses, through our emotions. And this field is vast. If you think of all the humans who have ever lived and all the experiences that they've had, that is a huge, vast amount of data, so to speak, most of which never gets captured in any form. It's just raw experience. The next filter is how much of that raw, direct human experience gets codified in knowledge, the sum total of all human cultural knowledge. Some of it's going to be written down, sure. A lot of it isn't. There are many societies which pass down knowledge orally. And then of course there have been so many writings which have been lost to time. But anyway, this filter is the sum total of human cultural knowledge, which itself is derived from the sum total of human direct experience with ultimate reality itself. And then it's only a tiny, shrinking fraction of the sum total of human cultural knowledge that has been codified on the internet or in academic papers or in books and other things that large language models are trained on. There is so much human knowledge, human cultural knowledge, which has never been put online, never codified in any way. And this is the thing, so much of what's on the internet is what researchers call weird. It's the product of Western, educated, industrialized, rich and democratic societies. And it is this tiny section of human cultural knowledge, this weird section of cultural knowledge that AIs are trained on. And this is before we get into the issue of incorrect perceptions, false facts, bad information, right? Because objective reality just is. Our experiences of objective reality are not accurate reflections of it, right? So they have some errors in them, so to speak. And then our cultural knowledge introduces even more errors, and especially as we get into stuff like dogma or traditions. And then again, this small subset of Western knowledge, which makes up the vast majority of the internet and the vast majority of the written corpus that AIs are trained on, that is woefully incomplete. And then, of course, generative AIs themselves are prone to hallucinations, which is a funny word for it, which basically means they just make stuff up. According to the BBC, they found up to 40% of content generated by AIs includes factual errors. So not only do we have this unreliability of the human sources cascading down that AIs are trained on, but AIs themselves are also introducing a lot of errors. So what we've ended up with generative AI is a tiny, skewed and error-prone sample of a tiny slither of human knowledge based on a tiny slither of the human experience in general, based on a fraction of ultimate reality. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the parable or the allegory of Plato's cave. And the idea is there's a cave deep underground where humans are chained to the floor and they're looking at this screen. And on this screen, by virtue of projections using fire and objects, they see these images and we take those images for reality. But of course they're not, they're just images in our mind. And if we were to leave the cave, throw off those shackles and leave the cave, we would see the real world for what it is. Here's the thing about that parable, right? It is a metaphor for the human mind. Because as you'll notice, all of these stages, from our direct experience with reality, all the way to the stuff generated by AI, all of it exists within the human mind. Even AI itself, everything it produces only has any relevance within the human mind. Because all AIs are doing, when they generate stuff for us, are just choosing the next statistically relevant token. The knowledge, the understanding, the meaning, all of it only exists in our heads. So what generative AI is doing, really, is dragging us deeper into Plato's cave. It is not leading us back out into the light of reality. But we're going to end on a positive note, because one thing we haven't mentioned so far is that you, your body, your brain, actually everything about you apart from your thoughts is actually part of ultimate reality, objective reality. And all of the rest of it is an illusion. There is only ultimate reality. It is the only thing that exists. The rest of it, these cascading filters of knowledge, are all ultimately illusions. So please, guys, do not fall for illusions. Do not let AI drag you deeper into Plato's cave. Try to focus on your experience, your direct experience with ultimate reality. Because not only is it good for your mental health and all that stuff, but also it is who you truly are.